welcome to the All Around Access podcast with me, Liv, and I'm joined once again by tumbling star Dom. Dom, how are you? How's your new year been?
Hi Liv, I'm all good, thanks. The new year was great and I'm super happy to be here for the second episode of the podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. The podcast is all about gymnastics. And if you're listening and you've got any questions for myself or Dom or any of the guests, you can email them to podcast@british-gymnastics.org throughout the series.
So this week, really exciting week. We've got two of Britain's best gymnasts. One of them is a trampoline gymnast who qualified GB a spot at the upcoming Tokyo Games, and the other is a women's artistic gymnast that has won medals at British, Commonwealth and World level. Please welcome to the podcast, Laura Gallagher and Kelly Simm. Welcome, ladies. How you doing?
Hi, guys.
Thank you. Good, thank you. How are you?
All good.
Hi, Kelly and Laura. It's great to have you both on. We're going to get going straight away, and we're going to start to by getting to know you both a little bit more, and what you got up to, what you get up to, outside of the gym.
So we both know you're a gymnast at the top level, but obviously there's always a person behind the gymnast. Obviously we always see, you guys, for Laura on the trampoline, Kelly on the floor, you guys doing your amazing feats and so on and so forth. But there's always a person behind that. So to gain some insight into that would really be good. So that's what we're looking for with this section. So please be open, and we're looking forward to getting to know you guys more.
So it's obviously been a tricky time for people over the last 10 months. But looking at both your social media channels, you obviously kept yourselves very busy. Kelly, we'll start with you. I understand that you've been really busy with uni work as well as keeping up your conditioning. How's all that been?
Yeah, I've been very used to kind of having something alongside of gymnastics ever since I started, really. So, whether that was school or college, or I graduated from my undergrad degree in 2019, and I had that gap year last year where there wasn't anything else going on, and it was quite different for me. So I have just started a master's degree this September, really, to kind of do alongside my gymnastics, which I just find is really good mentally for me, having something else to do outside of the gym.
So what's your master's degree all about? And is that something you always wanted to get into, or?
No, I never really saw university. I didn't think I'd go at all, but it was just a natural progression for me. And as I said, it was really just something to keep me busy outside of the gym, something to keep my focus on. My master's is in sports science and performance coaching. So I just like learning about the different aspects of sport, and I'm not entirely sure what I want to do when I finish, but it just helps me explore all the different avenues of sport.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. So something maybe that will keep you involved in the sport of gymnastics for many years to come, which is great. So have you, during the lockdown, you've had any opportunity to take up anything new? What else have you been up to?
So of course we had to keep really busy trying to keep fit. So that took up a lot of time. I did a performance lifestyle qualification, which was all online. So learning about how to support athletes away from their training and kind of support them in those career transitions. So that was really interesting for me, and another thing to kind of keep me busy.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The performance lifestyle, that's obviously something that you have kind of as part of the GB team as support from the EIS, the English Institute of Sport. So is that something that must be something that really helps you with your training, to have someone there to support you on all those aspects?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's got a lot bigger in the last few years, really. And as I kind of get older as well, I understand the importance of it a lot more than maybe I did when I was younger. So it was just, again, exploring something else, seeing whether I could potentially go into that in the future, whether I enjoyed it or not. Yeah, it was just really interesting to learn other stuff.
And finally, Kelly, you must have got into a few TV shows. There must have been a few Netflix and a few series watching, maybe.
Oh, yeah. I think my favourite series on Netflix is You. It's called You. It's a bit of a creepy one, but I love it. It was very addictive. So that's probably my favourite.
Always good to know.
Brilliant. And moving on to you, Laura, you're obviously a very fun, active person. You love the great outdoors and so on and so forth. You've been doing a lot of running and volunteering. We've been keeping up with you on social media. Could you tell us a bit more about, your volunteering opportunities and what kind of experience that's brought you?
Yeah, I think just like Kelly said, around training, I've always liked to keep myself busy. So I'm used to sort of working, and I graduated the same as Kelly with an undergrad degree in 2019 as well. And when I finished that, I also finished working so I could train full time. So it left quite a bit of a gap. And then obviously when lockdown happened, that gap felt a lot bigger around training, and obviously we weren't jumping, so that was quite a lot of time to fill. So it was just that sort of feeling useful, feeling like I wanted to make help others if I could. And just did some volunteering with the NHS responders. So just did some like check-in and chats, which was a really nice experience actually. It was a bit of a surprise, but I had some really nice conversations with some elderly people in the community that live near me, and did some shopping and things for some people too. So that was, that kept me busy as well. And then the Great Britain trampoline team, we spent quite a lot of time putting together some content to try and engage or try and keep everyone interested whilst we were outside of the gym, and help to keep everyone connected. So we were sort of like working just to sort of keep everyone active and put some challenges out there just during that first lockdown, just a bit of fun really. So that sort of does fill up your time, and it felt nice to be able to give back, and just be able to help, just even if it is like a very small amount.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's great that you touch on giving back, because I feel like at this time during the pandemic, it's so important to just help people. And even though it might be the smallest bit of content, it helps people keep positive. The work with the NHS, I have to clap you on that. They've been so brilliant during this time. They're under a lot of pressure, but they've coped with it brilliantly. So it's so good to see, one of our star, gymnasts has actually played a part in, that NHS part especially. Another question, what's been your favorite lockdown activity? Because I know I've seen on your social media as well, you like going on hikes. I'm not really a walker myself. I like running, especially short distances as well. So, what's been your kind of favorite sort of lockdown activity?
Yeah, I love the outdoors, to be honest. Even when it's raining, most of the time. Obviously, the first lockdown, the weather was lush, so that was really like easy, and to go outside and just basically spent the whole day outside. Took everything I needed to do outside into the garden. Lucky enough to have a garden. My favorite thing, we bought a paddleboard, and like a nice paddleboard, but we also bought this inflatable kayak from Lidl, a little middle aisle bargain. And we because I live in Somerset, there's so many nice places very near to my house, just to go and just be like on your own, away from everyone else, and just chill in the gather your thoughts and stuff. And so paddleboarding and it was probably one of my favorite activities. But I absolutely love walking, and running is something that I struggle to do around trampolining, just with the impact, like cumulative impact. So I did make the most of running, just to keep my tendons loaded and keep fit whilst I couldn't jump. So that was really nice, and something that I haven't been able to do for a while. Like, I used to play hockey a couple of years ago. I was playing hockey, so I missed that kind of physical running and that sort of thing. So to get back into that just for a short time was quite nice, a nice little change up. Kept my mind nice and free. Brilliant.
And just a question for both of you, Laura first, and then Kelly, you can answer after. You've both mentioned having, a wide range of interests outside the gym, and I think that's really, really important for people listening. It's great to be, really, really, involved and, sort of positively obsessed with gymnastics, but it's also really, really good, especially mentally, to have other interests as well. So touch on, how important that is for both of you, and, Laura first, and then Kelly after, please.
Yeah, for me, it's just so important. I think it makes, sport isn't forever. It's something that you can do, but like top level sport isn't forever. And partly it's like a good way to prepare for life after sport at a high level. And also just, it's really nice to have a break. I don't know a single person that only has one thing that they like doing or one interest that they like. So whether that's just like chilling out and watching a telly or going for a walk, and that everyone has so many different things that they like to do. And yeah, I like learning. I really like socializing. I really like helping people, and and I like coaching and other things that are related to gymnastics and trampolining as well. So yeah, it's just like I think it's just really cool to be able to try and explore new things if you have the time to do that. And
Brilliant.
which I've lucky to be able to do that recently.
Thank you. And Kelly, yourself?
Yeah, I think it's similar. Obviously, I started the sports, like you start when you're so young. I started when I was 6, and it is so much of your life for so young. And I think you only realize when maybe you have a big injury or something like that, that how hard it is when you don't have anything else. And I think that's when it's so important for me, when things are going maybe not the way you want to, or times are hard. It's much easier if you have something else to kind of another purpose just to really focus on, and it makes it easier to get back into the gym. So I'd say that that's the main thing, that it is so important for me to have that other side when things are hard, to take your mind off things, you can go back in a bit fresher.
Indeed. Thank you for the insight, ladies. Very, very interesting.
Dom, what about you? You're obviously still in training and having to kind of work through the lockdown and everything else. What's kind of kept you focused? What other interests have you got outside of the gym?
Yeah, so similar to Kelly, I'm at university myself in my last year of a sports communications and marketing degree. So this year, especially this lockdown, I've been working on my dissertation. So that's 10,000 words, so that's taken up a lot of my time. And I think outside of that, I've been trying to read a lot more. So I'm reading a Robert Greene book at the moment, The 50th Law, which he wrote with the hip hop rapper 50 Cent. So I'm learning a lot from that. I'm trying to write a lot more as well, because I think I'm sure you guys do it as well. It's very, very important to sometimes write down your thoughts, write down your goals as well, because it's always nice to like look on them and give you that sort of sense of direction. Similar to Laura, I've been running as well, trying to run, but it's so hard when it's cold. It's so hard when it's cold. It's a lot easier the first lockdown. So I've been trying to do that, and then just do what everyone else does as well. So your Netflix in, when you can, socializing with people on Zoom. I've got my housemates who I can chill out with as well, and then sometimes playing PlayStation all night, but not every night, just sometimes. But, yeah, a good little mix of everything. So I've been keeping really busy.
One final question I have, and anyone can answer this for you, all three of you. How do you keep your teammates motivated? We know that there's lots of young gymnasts out there in the lockdown trying to keep themselves motivated. When you're on your own, obviously it's quite hard. When you're in the gym, you've got people beside you. How have you kind of connected up with others during this time to make sure you can kind of boost your whole team?
Shall I go first on this one?
You go first, Dom.
I think during the first lockdown, especially, we used to do. I feel like kind of the whole country was doing it. You used to get together and do like a Zoom quiz, like a quiz on Zoom. We had like literally the team that went out to the Tokyo World Championships in 2019. We all used to, and the coaches as well. And actually, our physio Alan, we used to come together and do like a Zoom quiz. That was really, really nice. Like each week, one of us had to like set up the quiz, so that was like something to do during the week if you didn't have anything to do. So I think that was a really, really good way to connect. And I think just outside of that, especially with a lot of the lads we're close, so we'll have weekly just catch ups and just talk about anything, talk about memories, the future, prospects outside the gym as well. So yeah, I think Zoom was definitely a big thing to keep us all connected, and I think that was really, really good, especially during the first lockdown and into this second lockdown as well. It's going to be really, really key.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, like Zoom has been just like really good. I feel sorry for so many of the kids that having to do, not sorry, but obviously I don't feel it's very difficult at the moment with having to do like school on Zoom and things. So it's like I've been recently in this lockdown been doing some Zooms with some of the clubs just to help just change up the content, because just to do something a little bit different. So this time it's a bit more sort of fun fitness stuff. So yesterday it was a bit of like a sock theme. So balancing a sock on your head, and then like like silly games. That's just just a bit of fun, just a bit of laughter, a bit of fun, but keeping active. But yeah, just touching base with everyone. And lucky to have like Zoom to or other competitors to help keep us all together. And like it's nice to be able to see each other's face, even if it isn't in person. So
yeah, definitely. So, okay, so a couple of days ago, we asked fans of the sport, for you guys, to send their questions in for you both. So thank you for everyone who's sending questions. We've had loads, so we've had to pick out a few of our favourites for actually both. Dom, I think you're going to kick us off with the first question.
So the first one is from Samuel and Katie, and they've asked, when did you first start gymnastics and what got you involved in the sport? So Laura, you can go for it first.
I first started, I did tumble tots when I was like 2. I started trampolining just for fun, like once a week at my local sports centre when I was 6, but didn't really decide that I wanted to do it properly and compete to a high standard until I was 15. So I was quite late on in starting that, but yeah, so many years ago.
Yeah, I started gymnastics when I was 6. My friend went to a trampolining class which was in a gym, so I went along to the trampolining session with her, and I just could see all the girls doing all the flips on the floor and on the beams and things, and I just really wanted to try that, so I went along to the gym class the next day and kind of never looked back from there.
Brilliant.
Nice. Okay, this is another one from Katie. She asks, what is your favorite skill and why? So Kelly, if we start with you this time, what's your favorite skill and why?
I think my favorite skill is probably on bars, like a catch-up or any of the releases, really, because you feel like you're flying through the air for a couple of seconds, and yeah, they're just a lot of fun to do. So I think they're my favorite.
Nice. And what about you, Laura?
I have 2 favorite skills. My first is a 3/4 front, so it's where you sort of hang in the air for quite some time. Similar to Kelly, I like the feeling of sort of flying, and that's quite a nice feeling, and feeling like in super control of what you're doing. And my second favorite skill is a bit random, but half in Rudy out, so it's like a half twist double and then a full twist, 1.5 full twist out. I don't think I explained that very well, but I just like the feeling of that twisting somersault. Yeah,
lots of twists and somersaults. That's the key.
Yeah.
And Haley asks, what is it like to train every day? Is it? I'm imagining, most of the time it's great, but is there times where it gets hard? Could you give us some insight into that, Laura, first, please?
Yeah. I love it. I love sport. Like if I wasn't doing gymnastics and trampoline, I'd be doing another sport of something. I happen to really like trampolining, which is good news. So I feel really lucky to be able to do that every day. And I think it's finding new. The challenges never stop. There's always something that you can improve and work on, and that really drives me on to the next session. I'm like, I could get a little bit higher. How can I get higher? And then working on the floor to make sure that I can I've got all the right physical things so that I can get higher. Those sorts of things. I think it's like some of them are only small, small goals, but they all add up into into such a good feeling when it all comes together. If that makes sense. So yeah, I love the physical side of it. I love the mental challenge, and I like learning something and feeling like I've achieved something every single day, because there's always something that you can take away from a session. Like yesterday was like a massive graft and not an easy session, but like that's got rewarding in itself.
Indeed, that's great. Kelly?
Yeah, I'd agree. Obviously, there is definitely times when you are training so much, and it does get hard and it does get tiring. But I think we've been doing it for so long as well. Like we are very used to it, and like Laura said, even if you have those really hard days, you can still, at the end of it, you can always feel like that sense of accomplishment and knowing that you've worked really hard, and that is just the best feeling. And being able to watch yourself get better and better and improve and get those routines together coming up to competition. It's just such a good feeling, and it is so rewarding. So although it's tiring, it's fun and we enjoy it. We love to do it. So yeah, it's good.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
And just a quick follow-up question on that. What does a kind of typical day look like for you guys? Because it's not just training. I imagine there's other aspects and things like that. So what's a kind of typical day for you guys?
For me, it's normally a couple of sessions a day, so maybe like 2-3 hour sessions ish. And we normally cover all the events in the day, so maybe we'll do vault bars and beam in the morning, and then floor bars and beam maybe in the afternoon. And in that you have like conditioning as well, and any rehab exercises for injuries, and kind of stamina and flexibility, and it's just mixed up each day, and yeah, between like skills and routines, whatever kind of period of time you're at.
Brilliant. And Laura?
Yeah, similar, but obviously we're just like a one station sport, so like we normally have like a trampoline session and a physical session, so that could be a strength session. I always do Pilates. I live I swear by Pilates. I do a lot of that before and after training, so that's my sort of prehab exercise, like in my Pilates session. So yeah, we do a trampoline session which normally lasts sort of an hour and a half up to 2 hours, I'd say, because we could go on, but I think you get sort of top quality in that sort of amount of time.
Great, thank you, ladies.
You done. From Annabelle now on Instagram. She wants to know, has there ever been a time where you've doubted your ability? And if so, how did you kind of come through that? Laura, I'll throw to you on that one to start with.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly normal to have thoughts like that. And actually, I think that thought, it can be actually quite helpful sometimes. It's sometimes good to look inside and like reflect on where your why and what motivates you, and if you're struggling with something, why you're struggling with something. So I don't see that as like doubting yourself as like necessarily a negative thing. It becomes negative if you respond negatively to it. So I think sorry. That's right. Yeah. So but I think it always comes back down to your why and why you do what you do. If it's coming from a place of enjoyment, then it doesn't matter. And setting those goals and trying to achieve what you want out of it, you can't sort of doubt that. It's I think it's always trying to be the best that you can be and not comparing yourself to other people. I think that's often, if you have a doubt, it often comes from a place of comparing yourself to other people and what they might be doing, when your only competition is yourself, and you should only try and be better than you were the day before. So I think goal setting, like you guys have both touched on already, is so important, and like just keeping check on where you're headed and what you want to achieve out of what you're doing, that will always drive you forwards. But don't respond emotionally or reactively to that. Just sort of notice that you're having doubts, then just question why you might be having those doubts and where that's coming from, because sometimes it's just it just means that you just need a bit of a refresh on your motivation and what is driving you and what you want to achieve.
Yeah. And Laura, sorry, Kelly, what about yourself? Obviously, there must be times where, you know, you've had a fantastically long career in the sport. There must be times when it's hard to keep yourself motivated, where you feel you've got to keep yourself moving and keep moving forward, especially obviously in the crazy year that we've just had.
Yeah, definitely. So many times. Sometimes I think, especially when things get tough, and obviously this last year has been crazy and nobody's really experienced that, so that's been a whole new challenge for everybody. But I think it's just about remembering like your goals and why you're doing it. And as Laura said, I think if you enjoy it, then that makes it so much easier. If you're there because you enjoy the sport, like not because you're there because you have to be there, because you want to be there, and you want to get better. And like Laura said, not comparing yourself, that definitely adds a lot of excess pressure and stress if you are doing that all the time. So just trying to, you know, set those little goals for yourself, whether it's just a little goal in training or a competition goal, and just using those people around you for support as well. Like talk to your coaches if you're struggling, or your family or your teammates. Like everyone's there to support you. And yeah, to try to kind of stay as positive as you can. I know it's hard sometimes, but just try to stay positive and keep looking for those goals.
Yeah, nice, thank you.
Brilliant. And another one from Becca, she asked them, who are your idols and why? Who were your idols growing up and why? We'll go to Kelly first for this one.
I think my idol growing up was always Beth Tweddle. You know, she was really the leader in our sport for a long time, and yeah, just growing up watching her on TV and then being able to kind of make the GB team with her, and she's such an inspirational person and such a lovely person as well. And I remember she made me feel so welcome when I first joined the squad. So yeah, she really was kind of my idol growing up in the sport.
My idol is I actually compete with her now, but Rosanna Mclennan, the Canadian trampolinist, double Olympic champion. Just for me, I think it's I think the way that her approach and her presence, her approach, her willingness to help and support other people, and just everything about her as a person as well. And what, of course, what she's achieved on the trampoline is just completely inspiring. And she's just such an excellent role model for our sport, and definitely someone to look up to, and just, yeah, a very genuine person.
Mm-hmm. That's brilliant.
Another one we've had in, if you were both to do each other's disciplines, who do you think would do it best? Laura, which apparatus do you think you'd be best in at artistic? What do you think would be your thing?
I love this question. What a brilliant question. I've never been asked this before. I've never even thought about it before. I've never actually, I think I'd be proper scared to do balance beam. I went to the one at our club, and I went on the one at our club, and I got up there and I was like, it's actually pretty scary to stand on this beam and then to see what you guys do, like flipping over it, and yeah, it's mental. It's brilliant, like very inspiring. I'd love to be able to do bars, but I have had a go at swinging on them, and I'm not very good at that either. I'd say floor, because I love to dance, and I think I'd really like to tumble, though I've never had a go at that either. But yeah, definitely floor. I love watching floor routines. I don't know what I'm watching, and I'd love to learn a bit more, but I love watching floor routines. I love watching gymnastics, but yeah, floor routines, it's probably my favorite.
Nice. And
it's all nuts, Kelly, so really hard.
Yeah. Kelly, you actually mentioned that you started off on trampolining, and you obviously do elements of kind of trampoline basically assist your work. But what do you think when you see them kind of jumping quite insanely high in the air on those trampolines?
Yeah, when I said I started trampolining, I did a session and I literally bounced up and down. That was it, so it doesn't really count. But it looks so scary what they do. I'm not the best with heights, and I feel like I'd just ping off. Like, it looks so scary. And even my coach would say I hate doing stuff on trampoline. If he sends me to trampoline, I'd rather do anything else than that. I just find it scary.
It's like a punishment. It sends you to trampoline.
Yeah, he says, "Can I try it on trampoline?" No, I'll stick to the floor, thanks.
Yeah, something that's flat. Nice.
Yeah.
And we've got a final few questions, and these ones aren't gymnastics focused. So the first one, we're going to go to you, Laura, and you can answer as well, Kelly. If you could sit down for dinner with any three people, who would they be? Go for it, Laura.
That's so hard, isn't it?
Oh gosh.
Other than you, Dom. Other than you.
Other than me.
Kelly, can you go first, please? Because I can't think of anyone right now. I'm gonna have to That's a hard. 3 people.
3 people.
I hate these questions.
Do they have to be alive?
Nah.
Well, we'll be here a while.
My mind has gone blank. I'm really we might have to
go
come
next
back
question?
to this one.
Dom, have you got I reckon you know the answer to this question.
Oh, I'd say probably the guy on my hat. That would be the first one. Anthony Joshua. That would be the first one. Yeah. I'd say Martin Luther King. That would be another one for me as well. Martin Luther King. And the last one, either Denzel Washington or Will Smith. Maybe Will Smith, because I watched a bit more of him. and Denzel
You'd be a
Washington.
good
So
lad.
we'll see.
I
So
can
those
think
three
of
would be
one. It's someone I'd never thought of before until I got this question. But I'd really like to sit down with Federer, just because I never used to be. I know this sounds a bit random, but I never used to be like a massive fan. But I think just his longevity and like how he does what he does, and like is mental. And I'd just love to sort of find out a bit more about how he still does that. It's like yeah, I mean, I know he's injured at the moment, and you know, but he's had an incredible career, and for me, he'll always be like the guy in tennis. But yeah, no, I never thought until this question that I would want to do that, but I do. There's many people I'd like to meet. There's so many people I'd love to meet. I just can't think of anyone right now.
Okay, Kelly, have you thought of anyone for your dinner party? You're just gonna be on your own?
Oh, like Laura said, oh my god, no. Maybe like Jessica Ennis. She's done a lot in her career, so I'd like to kind of hear her story.
Big fan.
Yeah,
big fan of Jessica Ennis. Yeah. Her. Did you see her documentary? Like I think it was it 2008 Olympic Dreams? That was just very inspiring. How she had to train herself to take off for the long jump off the other foot.
High jump. Yeah.
I was at high jump, and she's an incredible athlete, and that documentary, if you haven't seen it, I think it's on YouTube. Have a look, because she is very amazing.
Yeah. I think we'll do just one more. We'll go, if you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would you choose? So another one where you've got loads of options. You've got to pick one food for the rest of your life. So please pick something you enjoy.
I already know.
And you can't eat anything else. Like, it's literally just got to be one food.
Yeah, just one food. Don't worry, it's not going to affect your performance.
I'm going to go with Yorkshire pudding.
What did you say, Liv?
Mine would be Yorkshire puddings. I'm obsessed with Yorkshire puddings. They are the best part. They are the best part of a roast.
It could be anything, couldn't it? They are
like pancakes and stuff as well. So you could make the batter into several different things and just have that for the rest of your life. So that's mine.
Oh, that is a good shout, isn't it? Have you thought about this before?
Yeah.
I like food.
Good question.
What would I have? I don't know. Let's go with pasta. Unfortunately, it's got to be gluten-free because I'm celiac, so I've got to have gluten-free pasta, which is disappointing. But if you make it fresh, then you can't tell the difference.
Laura, that's interesting. I just whilst you touch on the celiac, I have a nut allergy, and I appreciate obviously with foods it can be really difficult. How do you manage that with your training and stuff, making sure you get a balanced diet? That must add kind of another element to things.
I mean, the trickiest thing is when we go away for competitions, because obviously, like, you don't know what you're going to get. We don't know what the food's going to be like where you're going. So for the last for as long as I can remember, I take all my own food away with me. So lots of like tin tuna and stuff. It's quite boring and whatever, but at least I know what I'm, I've got the right fuels that I can, get down me. I might just have some salad. Most places have like really got to grips with gluten-free foods, but some countries don't really understand, like gluten-free. Like I found it pretty hard in Japan to get the right foods. So just to be on the safe side, take my own food so that I know there's options. And it's a bit embarrassing how to get it out in the restaurant, but if everyone, it's just got to be done, hasn't it? Got to get something in me.
It's interesting for gymnasts to hear. Like, I'm sure there's lots of gymnasts out there with various different things, and it's great to know that, like, it doesn't matter what, you can make it work and manage in that aspect.
Oh yeah, there's definitely ways around it. In England it's pretty easy now, but it's just when you go abroad it's a bit challenging because obviously the language barrier as well. There's like a really good app, actually. You can type it in and you can download it. It's like a gluten-free restaurant card, and you can just hold it up and it explains. It's pretty. It's good. There's so much stuff out there that can help.
That's really, really cool. So Kelly, sorry, you've had a lot of time there to talk about your food. What would it be?
Oh gosh, it's got to be something like pizza, hasn't it? Not that I ever really eat it, but I think if you take it away.
You know what? Pizza got loads of variations as well, so it's a smart choice.
Yeah.
It's a smart
You
choice.
could be like make it yourself, couldn't you? Or you could, yeah.
You could vary it
Loads of
up.
variations.
Sounds good. Okay. Right. Thank you so much to everyone for sending your questions in. It was really great. I think if you want to send any more questions in to our guests coming up, or myself or Dom, you can email them in to podcast@british-gymnastics.org.
Brilliant. Right. Again, thank you so much. I know we tested your minds a lot. We're going to move on now. We're going to look at some of your proudest moments to date. And we're also going to talk about, hopefully what's going to be an exciting year with the Tokyo Games coming up in the summer. So, you've both achieved a lot in your careers, but we'll come to you first, Laura. What are the moments that stand out? If you had to pick, let's say 3 that really, really stand out to you.
3 that really stand out to me are the first one, actually not a result. It was just a personal achievement when I came back from experiencing some problems or some difficulties with confidence and confusion with my skills. That was quite a long time, so I had sort of a difficult period of about a year, just shortly after I won World Age Group Championships, and then my top 2. My first would be in 2013 when our team won the World Championship gold medal, just because that was such an incredible experience and moment, and I got a PB at the time in that event too. So it was like on a personal level, I was really chuffed at the time, and then as a group, as a team, and then as a wider team, because the whole TNT team had such an awesome competition there. So many medals, and it was just such a brilliant experience. But yeah, just to be world champions as a team was just like such a good feeling. And then on a personal level, my proudest moment was last year at the World Championships in Tokyo, qualifying to the final and securing Great Britain a place for Tokyo. And that was just I felt quite emotional about that, because it's just been quite a journey to get there, sort of pretty rocky, and I'm just so happy that I can still continue that journey, and I can't wait to see where that takes me. And so that was just that was a lot of hard work from everyone that went into that competition, and was just really proud that all came together at that time.
Brilliant.
And
Brilliant. And it's brilliant that you obviously touched on that, because I thought that was going to be your best one. GB has always had female representation at the Olympic Games in trampoline since it came into play in 2000. So I did a little bit of research before we came here. So Jamie Moore, Kirsten Lawton, Claire Wright, Kat Driscoll and Bryony Page, have all obviously qualified spots and compete at the game. So for you to keep that streak going, how did that feel for you? So this is going to be the 5th Olympic Games running where we've had a female representative. So that is brilliant. How did that feel?
And hopefully we're on track for 2. So Bryony's World Cup points hopefully will lead us to that 2nd Great Britain spot too. So that felt incredible. We knew what we needed to do. We needed to get into the final. And it just felt I had a few tears. I remember it was quite emotional. Not only to qualify Olympic place, but also to qualify into the final at World Championships too, and in 3rd place. So that was pretty special feeling. I remember watching. I think I was on holiday in Portugal, and I was watching Kirsten on there. She was on the telly over there when watching the game. So there's so many memories, and to be part of this process is just it makes me feel really proud, and I'm like representing my club and everyone that's helped me get to this place as well. So especially all the support we have at the moment on the Great Britain squad. And also just to touch on that, like it's phenomenal that we've got Kat and Bryony that have already like such an experienced team, and we're all sort of over 30 going into this year. It's pretty pretty awesome achievement, and testament to all the work that the guys have put in. Like, I mean, the team, our supporting team around us, which has meant that we can all continue at this point.
Great. And it's great that you mentioned, the supporting team, because I think sometimes it's very, very easy for people that are not involved in sport to just think it's just the athlete that goes in there and competes and then the coach coaches them. But, you're very lucky with British Gymnastics, the English Institute of Sport, to have such a good support network, whether that be nutritionists, psychologists, physios, S&C coaches, and so on and so forth. So just touch on again how important that support network is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Kelly will totally agree on that. And I think it's really good because the support that we're getting is rippling down to clubs now, and that reaches a lot more, and we're able to pass on that knowledge and information a lot further. Like when I first started in the Great Britain squad, we didn't have that support package around us. So it's amazing to see and to have been part of all of those changes and see how far we've come as a sport. And yeah, like we absolutely couldn't do it without the support of all our coaches and support network, not just that are working on the ground with us, but obviously that cushion around them and that enable them to help us. So the wider organisation, I guess. So yeah, we're really lucky that we have that in our country, that to help us really be able to reach our potential. I've certainly, just like Kelly, had a fair few injuries and that have required medical support, physio, doctor support, nutritionist support in the rehab process, and more recently, like psychology support too. So that's it's just phenomenal that support is available for us now.
Brilliant. And I just wanted to touch on pressure, and obviously, going to a World Championships, I've been to, two myself now at senior, and it's definitely different making that step up from junior to senior. But I can only imagine how, much more pressure it is when there is that Olympic place at stake. So does that change your usual competition mentality? Is the pressure higher? So does that make you elevate, or do you kind of just try and keep a level head all the time, just get on with the routine and then let the rest?
Yes, it's a real good question. The answer is yes, initially, but then it's just reframing it. So last year, I of course I wanted to qualify an Olympic place for the country, and of course I want to qualify that place for myself too. But alongside that, I want to win a world medal. I want to get into the World Championship final. So it's just reframing those goals, and so seeing it as that competition. So just taking that down a notch and not looking at the overall outcome of where that's going, because sometimes that's out of your control anyway, as we all know. So like it's seeing what you can control, and like not just having that one huge goal that is only available to a very small number of athletes. And so for me it was so I sort of went into that with knowing that that's what I wanted out of it and that's what I wanted to achieve, but also I wanted to qualify into a world final, and I wanted to really try and push for a medal, and then when I go to World Cups, which are qualifiers, it's the same approach. Like my first thing is I want to do a good routine, and I show what I've been working on, whether that's like all the elements, and put it together and do my best performance, and then sort of the outcome does take care of itself. So whilst you can set goals and really aim to meet those goals, sometimes it's just bringing it back a bit and reframing it, do the first process bit first before like homing in too much on the outcome goal, because that pressure can easily, the Olympic pressure is like greater than anything else, but it's not necessarily, it's more noise, and that comes from outside noise, if that makes sense. And it's just because everyone wants that. It's just it's just seeing it in a different way, in an exciting way, in a positive way.
Indeed. And just a last question, you competed 3 times individually at the championships. You've got your prelims, your semi-finals, and obviously your World Championship final. What routine did you kind of enjoy the most, and what routine did you feel under the most pressure, if they're different? Shed some insight on that. That would be great.
4 times actually, Dom. 4 times, because we did the team competition as well. I love the team competitions. They are wicked to compete in. It's such, as you know, the intensity of a team competition is just like nothing else. So I always love the buzz of that. It's a really different pressure. It's a different type of feeling, and there isn't a good position to go, whether you're first up, middle up, or third up. There's no room for error, so it doesn't really matter where you go, but each position's got its own sort of, pressure, if you like, that comes with it. And my favorite performance, though, is definitely semi-finals. I just felt sometimes it just comes naturally to be in the zone, but like before that competition, I'd worked on I'm not very I'd worked on presence, I'd worked on how I was going to walk out, how I wanted to feel, and it all came together in that. So right from the moment that we stood out onto the podium to give the crowd a wave, right down to being on the floor, right down to the one-touch warm-up, right down to get everything had been planned and practiced. It was so well rehearsed, and it all just came together. That's what all of my training had been leading towards, and to do that job, and it just came together there. And that was that felt really really cool, because it just almost had like a bit of a flow. I was just sort of found that that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you have to work really hard to, and it's a bit, but that just sort of, it just, I think because it was so well rehearsed, every aspect of it, right from just warm-ups going out to the end of that competition, that was probably what made it wasn't a fluke. It was practiced purposely.
That's so interesting to hear, especially the fact that, you thought about everything, the way, you were going to walk, the way you were going to warm up, probably little rituals that you were going to do before you actually competed, and so on and so forth. It's so, great to see how those little things can, create obviously such an amazing outcome at the end. So that was really, really great to hear. Thank you.
I think you focus then on what you're doing and not what you're feeling as much. I think that's really helped.
Yeah. Indeed. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Kelly, obviously you've had a phenomenal career to date in gymnastics, for the, thinking about the Commonwealth Games, World Championships, even kind of at university level. If you had to pick out your best achievements or your favorite moments, what would they be?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many, and it's really hard to compare because everything's so special for different reasons. I think 2014, that was my first major international, the Commonwealth Games, and it just felt like such a big event at the time. I felt like I didn't belong there, and everything was just so different. And then to get the team gold medal with the girls, it was just amazing, and that really, I think, allows you to start dreaming a little bit bigger after that. And so that I'll always remember that just being amazing, because it was the first one. And then the year after, like you said, for university, I got to travel out to Korea and compete in the World University Games, and that was amazing because I was out there on my own, and I'd got chosen to be the flag bearer for the opening ceremony, which was crazy. You never think you'll get to do that, so that was surreal, and obviously that comes with a little bit of pressure as well. I knew the flag bearer was expected to do a good job, so but it was amazing, and I ended up winning the all-around of that event, which I think was the first time a British gymnast had done that, and kind of took 3 medals away from that game. So, and my coach was on the floor as well. So it was such a special competition for both of us, and I think that gave me a lot of confidence coming away from that I could kind of perform under that pressure on my own and like make individual finals and win individual medals. So I just remember that being like a turning point really in my career for confidence-wise. And I think 2018 as well, when I won the British, that was really special. It was my coach's big birthday, and I won't say the number, but on that weekend, so you won't want me to say that, but just winning that, and I had 3 of my coaches on the floor, and that just felt so surreal. And I'd had 2 hard years of injury in 2016 and 17, so to come back from that and to win that title that year was just a huge confidence booster for me, and was just another massive moment in my career.
Yeah, like you say, there's so many moments for you. You've been such a consistent rock for GB and the team. How do you keep your kind of calm out there on the floor? Like talk about, like the British Championships, your coach's birthday, like you said, that's, he wants a nice birthday present. And there's so much, the program's really, really strong. Obviously, you said you came out with some confidence after those competitions, but how do you keep your calm under those lights, or with all of the smoke and all of the energy and everything in the room? How do you keep cool?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just an experience thing. Kind of the more you experience, the more you learn how to cope and kind of how to think and what works for you. I think, like Laura said, it's how you frame it in your mind, and sometimes you have to play down the event in your head in order to not get quite as nervous. But it is always nerve-wracking, and I always used to think, oh, when I'm older, I'll never be nervous, but it doesn't happen. I'm always nervous, but I think you just I don't know, you get used to it and you learn kind of what to do, what works for you. My coach is brilliant on the competition floor as well. He's one of the most calm people I know, so it's great having him on the floor. And your teammates as well, you help each other out. You know what to say to each other. When you cheer for each other, you know the words that help them in that moment, and they know what helps you as well. So just having that support and everything, yeah.
Yeah, and talking about kind of atmospheres in terms of kind of keeping calm and things like that. Obviously, the World Championships in 2015 in Glasgow, that was a really special moment, winning that kind of historic bronze with the team. What was that like? And I was there at the time. I know everybody was kind of going crazy in the crowds and things like that. But was there a little bit of pressure there? How did you handle that?
Yeah, that was amazing. The arena was really dark, I remember thinking, and we had a rough time in podium training because we'd never been in an arena like that before where it was spotlighted. So there was a lot to get used to, and it was an Olympic qualification again. So qualification day, we were all just really trying to get into that top 8. I think it was to qualify as a team, and we ended up coming third in qualifications, and that was amazing. And so the final really was just to kind of have fun, and yeah, it was an amazing event, and the atmosphere was incredible.
Yeah, and you obviously we've, again, going through the kind of World Championships, we've talked about Commonwealth, everything. And Laura touched on this early when you were talking about Federer. I mean, Laura, you said, oh, Federer, he's been in the games, in the long game, he's the one. I mean, you guys should probably pick yourselves up a bit more, because I think for both of you, you've been in the sport for years and achieved so many things along the way. I mean, if we just kind of go Laura, if I just jump back to you a second, in terms of kind of that being in the sport for that length of time, how do you kind of deal with the highs and the lows and keep yourself motivated to keep achieving the things that you've done?
I think it's just always revisiting your goals, like I said earlier, and the why has never changed. I'm doing the sport because I absolutely love it. I love the challenge of it, mentally and physically, and yeah, like I said earlier, there's always a different challenge every single session, and it's just trying to see if you can get even better than you were, and where you're headed. There's no ceiling, so no one does put a ceiling on that for you. And for as long as I can feel like I'm performing and able to offer my best, I will just continue. But and also it goes back to what I was saying with Dom, just being the team and the experience that you have around you, helping you and advising you, and that definitely adds to it as well, because I've learned as I've gone on in my career how to train, how to manage the load, what to do in the sessions and when, and it's when you're feeling at your best that you need to be the most careful sometimes. And that's what I've learned as well in my career, that actually when you're feeling good, sometimes you can get carried away and maybe just overtrain and do a bit too much, and then you find that you're injured. And so it's all the people around that can help and support and advise you in those ways as well, and it's being open to that too. But yeah, learning that as I've gone on, and sometimes stepping away from it and looking at a change of perspective. Obviously I didn't know that you did everything that you did outside of your sport, Kelly, but I'm pretty similar in the way that I think having other things helps keep you balanced and keeps that perspective real. Sometimes you can get so lost in the bubble of sport and what you're trying to achieve that it can become so intense and so consuming and take over your life and your identity and as to who you are. I think it's always good to have that greater perspective of who you are, what you represent, what you stand for, what you like, and that will help. Also when you come into the session, into your training session, to have that perspective that if you have a bad session, you don't take it home and it's not it doesn't eat you up when you get home.
Yeah.
You can kind of put that in its box and move on to the next. But yeah, so I think it's just like goal setting, and then just it just coming from it. You just have to love what you do and come from a place of enjoyment, and that will always drive you towards where you want to get to.
Nice. Yeah. No, thank you. That's great for our listeners just to hear, kind of like say, giving so much advice. Kelly, obviously, just quickly for you, you obviously, like you touched on, there were some injuries you had to come back from, but you've worked so hard and, like I said, been such a rock throughout for the team, as well as having some incredible achievements. How have you kind of kept yourself motivated throughout that time, throughout such a long career?
Oh, thank you. I think like what Laura said, it's the love of the sport, and we are so lucky to have the support we have with the IS. And I think gymnastics is evolving, and you can be doing it for a longer age now. 25. I never thought I'd be doing gymnastics at 25, but it's a lot more girls are doing it as they're getting older now, and we've got that support to allow us to do that. And yeah, as Laura said, I love the sport, and I have still things that I want to achieve, and while I'm still able to do it, and while I'm still motivated and enjoying it, yeah, I want to just keep doing it.
Fab. Okay, so finally, we're nearing the end now, guys. Don't worry, keep going. It's just the last one. Obviously, we know that the last year it's been, well, I say the last year now, maybe 18 months or so. It's been a bit of a crazy one, like we talked about. We don't obviously know kind of what's going to happen the next few months, but it's a little bit unpredictable. But if obviously the Olympics go ahead, and obviously a really exciting year potentially for you both. Laura, firstly, obviously there's a long way to go, a lot can happen, but are you allowing yourself to think about kind of that sort of selection and the Olympics coming up?
Yeah, definitely. That's always in my mind, and it's what helps to drive me in training as well. I'm not scared of that anymore. I used to not really want to be called an Olympic hopeful or want to talk about it to anyone, but now I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying the journey, enjoying the bumps. There are never any guarantees with sport, and there's a long way, like you said, to go on the process, and a long way to go this year as well. And obviously, bigger things are happening in the world as well at the moment. So, but yeah, absolutely allowing myself to dream, to really be excited by the possibility of going to Olympic Games, to be excited by the opportunities of being able to lay down some good performances that and put into a performance all of the work that I've done over this last year on and off the trampoline, and just like everyone else, I suppose. So yeah, absolutely. Changed my approach from previous cycles for sure. I'm definitely more exciting and allowing myself to dream. I think it's absolutely fine to have a dream and to allow yourself to have a look inside that.
Nice, yeah, it's exciting. Kelly, for you as well, what would it mean to be named to the Olympic team?
Well, obviously it would mean absolutely everything. I mean, everybody has that goal going into an Olympic year, and I think, like Laura said, like you do think about it, but at the same time, I think you really just have to think about one step at a time. And for me, I think that's how I approach it, is one day at a time. And I'm still coming back from the shoulder surgery, so I'm still really trying to get my skills back and get my routines back to get myself into competition first. So although obviously that is the motivation and that is the dream for sure, I'm just trying to kind of take it one day at a time with all the uncertainties, and yeah, just keep working hard and control at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, that's the best thing to do, isn't it? Brill. Well, great. I think we finally got to the end of that one. It's been really interesting to hear both of you guys, isn't it, Dom? It's been great to have you both on here. Obviously, you've had some massive moments in your career so far, but with plenty more to come, no doubt. So we hope you've both been enjoyed coming on to the podcast. It's been great having you, and we look forward to catching up with you both again soon. So thank you very much. Oh, that was really insightful, wasn't it, Dom? How did you find that? I was just thought there's loads of different things in there for our listeners to take up on.
I thought it was really, really great. I think the key message of that longevity, keeping positive, keeping happy, having different interests is something that, hopefully everybody watching can really, really take on and apply to their own gymnastics and their own lives. So, the girls are great. Their insight was amazing. And I personally really, really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, definitely. We hope you all enjoyed it. The podcast is now on Spotify, Apple Music, and you can also find us on the British Gymnastics YouTube channel. So make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us on there. If you've got any questions for Dom or you'd like to send a question in for our guests, don't forget throughout the series you can get in touch by emailing podcast@british-gymnastics.org.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys. This has been episode 2 of the All Around Access podcast. The next episode will be coming very, very soon, so stay tuned. But till then, take the best of care. Thank you so much, Liv.
See you guys.